Have you ever had a conversation about your practicing like this?
Said, hey, how was practice today? You're able to say, well, my intention was to practice 7 activities today. 6 were above my goal, 1 was below. This is what I'm working on. So it becomes a very proactive conversation versus it was bad or it was good.
Neither had I until recently. Hi, I'm Paul, and this is The Golf Show. You may have seen that this year I've set myself a challenge of halving my handicap from 8 to 4, and I'm going to have to look at every aspect of my game to improve that. I'm going to have to get every ounce of improvement I can. So this episode's a little bit different. This episode is an interview with me and a guy called Craig Dixon, who's the founder of a company called Draw More Circles. Circles, as they like to be known, are a software company where you put in your data and they will analyse your stats. You can benchmark yourself against various levels of player. They've benchmarked me against scratch. And we're going to look at what shots I'm losing per round against a scratch golfer. If I go out and shoot a 79, which would be great, is that because I drove really poorly but the putting saved it? We need to analyse all those different areas over a number of rounds. Once we've got that, we can look at what I need to practice on, but more importantly, how to practice. So I'm so excited about this. So this episode's a little bit longer than a usual golf show episode, but please bear with me. It's really, really eye-opening. And what I'm going to do, this episode is more about Circles, what they do and their product. In a couple of weeks I'm going to put an episode out on the Half My Handicap series where I actually drill down into the details of my scores and we see what's good and what's not so good. Okay, I hope you enjoy it, guys.
My job is to essentially go in and look for insights in how someone's playing the game. So essentially the lens in which we apply is what is the least you need to do to achieve your goal? Essentially what we're looking for. What are those 1% things that you might be able to do that will help improve your score by 4 or 5%.
Yep.
And so what we do is we essentially go, what's happening on the golf course? Let's find some insights. And then how do we optimize training in order for you to peak for specific events or specific rounds if you just want to go and smash your mates? So that's the lens in which we apply. We would essentially work with high performance association, Olympic teams and the like. We sat back and we went, because it was pretty expensive for us to be able to go and travel and go and sit with these organizations and manually go through the analytics process to drive performance. And so we thought, well, what would happen if we made this high performance service and made it available to for the aspiring golfer, right? For the dedicated player who actually wants to get better. And so we started developing Circles, right? Because we went through a full R&D process and the results were insane.
Yep.
Like the mid-level player was getting like 3-stroke reduction in 3 months. This is working with a coach, right?
Yep.
But the tour players that we work with are getting 19 times return on their investment. Wow. And so the performance analytics, we're not really a stats program or an insights tool. So for us, it's a matter of how do we help not only give you insight into your performance, how do we help optimize that training? How do we create a collaborative environment for not just yourself, but also your team?
Yeah.
Your team have the information they need to help you be successful.
Yeah.
That's really what we want to do. And we're just passionate about helping players. And what you would see within your Circles account, it gives you an overview. So we've got through here. So we've got your level of performance, your current level of performance. We'll talk about some considerations in just a second. You're playing in winter, it's a small sample size, all that stuff.
Yeah.
Then what we do is we go, well, this is where you're performing and this is what success looks like. So I've taken the liberty to go male scratch. You can change that at any point in time to different benchmarks. You can filter. We look at biggest area of strengths. We look at biggest area of opportunities. You can really start diving in deeper. All right, so you can start looking at your trend lines. Essentially what our system does is it runs through that modeling after every 5 rounds. So we're trying to find insights for you. So you'll see down here where it starts highlighting, hey, look, these are kind of the 3 key areas we suggest you focus on.
Yeah.
So it's always trying to find those insights. And then from there, we start looking at how do you then apply that to training? Where the magic happens, there are lots of great stats programs that will show you where you're currently performing. Fantastic. Right, there's also really good stuff. What we do is we go, look, if you're going to go and apply your focus and training, where are you best to apply your focus? So you essentially would take this, if you go down into this plus button, log practice, where are you best to spend your time? So there are lots of areas in which you could practice. There are so many of them, mate.
Yeah.
right? But do you see how next to some of these, there are some focus areas
Yeah.
next to them? So these are areas which we'd suggest that if you were going to go and train, these would be the areas which suggest you focus your time on.
Yeah.
Now, you see down on the right-hand side here, you've got numbers. So from the fringe, so you click on there. These are essentially tests, right? So you go into the driving range, you go to the practice area, you get 5 golf balls, throw those 5 balls down in between, you got less than 30 yards away from the hole. Go through full process. So not each shot is from the same spot. You've got variable distances, right? You go through full process, full routine, execute the 5 shots, remove the 2 best, remove the 2 worst, and you measure the median, right? Your job is to get your median ball under 14.91 feet.
I love that, because I always worry, especially with amateurs practicing, you go to the driving range and guys are just trying to bash drive. You could be ingraining a fault. And also, if you're doing the right thing, what does good look like? I wouldn't know from that distance whether I needed to get it within 5 feet, because that's what the guys do when I watch PGA Tour. And you kind of compare yourself to that, because that's the only really thing that you can see, when you're watching it. Or what's good for me to get my benchmarks.
And then what these are essentially 10% harder than what you're currently doing on the golf course. So what you're able to do, if someone hit you up in the car park and said, hey, how was practice today? You're able to say, well, my intention was to practice 7 activities today. 6 were above my goal, 1 was below. This is what I'm working on. So it becomes a very proactive conversation versus it was bad or it was good.
Time is short for everybody. So that sort of focused practice would be really helpful.
You're 100% right. And there's some cool news for you. So it will become an app very shortly as well. So we'll have it live on app. At the moment it's web-based. And then also we'll have Apple Watch integration as well, which is coming out next week. So you'll be able to auto-ingest your data too. So just make it a little bit easier for you. What I've done too is I've just taken the liberty of doing a bit of a deeper dive as well. And I'd be happy to jump on a call with yourself and your coach and your physio and your strength and conditioning team as well, if that would be helpful.
Yeah, perfect.
It's always nice to get everyone aligned and look, we are looking at things remotely as well. Yes, it's objective, but also golf's just really hard. It's just hard. And so there's no right way to do it. It's a matter of giving you the information you need to make informed decisions about how best to develop and improve your game, because you may want to play the game in a certain way. What I have done though is I have taken the liberty to take those 5 rounds that you have inputted. Now, I understand that you have been playing in winter. It is a small sample size. But what I've done then is I've taken a dive into this and just gone, look, there's a bit of a discussion document. When we start breaking that down, where we're losing strokes is we're losing 4.48 in drives, 3.17 in approaches, 1.64. And short game is 0.3 in putting. Now, what we've done is I've got some good news for you, mate. There is a potential opportunity to improve by 6.26 strokes per round by improving in 3 areas.
Okay.
So that in theory will allow you to achieve your goal, getting down to that kind of 4. So that's drives, short game 21 to 60, and then putting under 7 feet. But before we do that, I'd like to quickly call out one thing, and that's your putting performance over 21 feet. And again, I understand this is a small sample size, but you gain 0.44. You're almost half a stroke better than the average male scratch player per round in putting over 21 feet. So you actually have a higher make rate from over 20 feet versus the average male scratch player. So for example, you've got a 3.8 higher make rate from over 25 feet. So you're at 6.45% versus their 0.65. So congratulations, mate.
I think I must just get a lot of practice, because my approach play is not good enough at that kind of distance.
Right, so copy paste whatever you're doing there. Just keep going.
I did notice after the first round, because you've got to stay in the present, and having access to all this data as well. I'm going to have to use it for the purposes of good rather than evil in terms of my own mind, because I looked at the first round and I didn't miss a putt under 5 feet. So first hole, round 2, 4-foot putt. Start thinking, I didn't miss one of these yesterday. Shoved it right, didn't even hit the hole. I'm an idiot.
Where I think it becomes really powerful is actually being able to identify where your strengths are and where you're improving. So what we're really looking for, like somebody could be sitting on a negative strokes gain number for a long time. And a negative strokes gain number isn't necessarily a bad thing. What we're looking for is improvement over time. That's really what we're looking for. And you see the trend lines through here, so you can start seeing you get better in here, better in here. Yes, small sample size, getting worse in here. But that's really what we're looking for. And really, in our view, once you start collecting information, it's creating self-awareness, which is really important because we do have cognitive bias, right? So we have different expectations or opinions of our game, and this kind of just helps articulate and get everyone on the same page to work on, hey, look, what's meaningful, what's important. But as golfers, I don't know about you, but we're always looking forward. What do I need to do? How do I get better? What's going on? Being able to sit down and have a review, not just on the last round, but also over the last several months. Because it becomes so empowering and, in our view, reinforcing, where you can sit down and say, do you realize how well you've done in these areas? It's also very empowering for a coach as well to hear how good a job they're doing. What does better look like? What does success look like? And then how are you putting yourself in a position to measure that? Because we're very linear when we practice on the driving range. Right? We're looking at it and we're going, oh, is it on target or is it not? But golf is made up of not just linear dispersion, right? We've got lateral as well. And so how do you put yourself in a position in which to practice appropriately, getting those measurement points? I think that really will start helping lend to that score reduction, and pretty aggressively for you. I'm so excited for you. This is going to be fun.
I'm really looking forward to it. And this is just the magic that makes it happen. You know, I am going to have to start going for a run. I'm going to, I've got to, as part of this process, besides working with you guys, I've got Chris as a coach. I've got Guy as a coach at Fulford. He knows my game inside out. I've got a physio. I've got a PT. I've got a nutritionist on board, a mindset coach. So I've got all the right people around me to practice something I really want to get into. And I do enjoy practicing. I mean, I'm more of a player than a practicer, but
great
focus practice is a different animal, I think. And that's something where you can, because you go to the driving range and you aim at the post and you think, well, when I practice with Chris, he says, but you're aiming at a fairway, so aim between two posts. And all of a sudden it's more, and that's the kind of thing I want to get more into, where I can see, what I'm doing, but what good is, what should I be achieving from 20, 60 yards, that kind of thing.
You're absolutely right. And the fact that you've got your team together, I think something like this and sharing this with the team, I think is going to be really important, because like if you're working with a nutritionist, if you're working with a fitness and a physio, what does success look like? Your strength and conditioning team and your physios and everyone can have a coach account. So any player that has a membership in Circles, their whole team gets free access.
Right, that's amazing.
So every time you log a round, every time you log a practice, they get that information. In our view, golf's a weird game, right? So it's one of those, like if you play basketball or you play soccer or whatever, like the coach is with you in training. The coach is with you when you play, but in golf, they're not. And so how do we, in our view, coaches or support team need to know a couple of things, right? One is, when are you playing? How are you performing when you play? When are you practicing? What are you practicing? And how are you performing in that practice? And it's really moving away from being very player-led in terms of you going to a golf lesson. So if you turn up for your golf lesson, hey, Chris, I reckon we need to work on this. And Chris is like, well, okay. But there's like me going to a dentist and saying, look, I've watched a YouTube channel and they recommend that I get a root canal here. They also thought it'd be a good idea to kind of get a filling here. And then while we're at it, we might as well just pull this tooth as well. And so it kind of doesn't make sense. This is, imagine like you go to the dentist, they generally do an x-ray and then they can figure out what's best. So essentially this information, providing it to your team, is giving them an x-ray for them to be able to understand the underlying performance. So then when you turn up, they're like, hey, Paul, I've seen you've practiced 4 times in the last month and I see you've practiced 6 times. Awesome. I see this is what's going on. In these 2 areas. And you're like, oh, okay, perfect. So it's very direct. You're not spending half your lesson in a conversation around what's happened. I think it's quite impactful. So suggest the next steps. Suggest start to load some results into your Circles account, and then we'll start integrating core strategy from March. That would be my suggestion.
Perfect.
If
That
you
sounds
do
great.
those three things, you're probably going to be on a 2 to 3 in the next 7 months. Whereas we're looking at improvement over time now. So
Yeah.
it's sometimes takes time to bridge a gap, right? But
Yeah.
what we'd like to do is maybe next time when we catch up, are we at 3?
Yeah.
All we're looking for is improvement now. And if we can bridge these gaps, then we'll remodel
Yeah.
it. And we
And,
keep
and, and
finding
it's,
insights.
it's so interesting because up till now, without this level of detail, the only way you can judge how well you got on is your scores and your handicaps overall. But you don't get to see the individual components of it there, and that just really brings it to life. That's so powerful. Just having it framed like that, and also knowing what to practice. And up till now, if I wanted to get better, I'd probably play more, and maybe the handicap comes down. But I wouldn't be able to see that it's come down because my driving's gone from losing 4.5 shots to 3 shots, or my putting's gone from losing half a shot to plus 1 shot. You know, so you can only without that data, you can only judge it as the whole rather than the component parts. So
Absolutely.
that's super exciting. You know,
And Paul, we've got one rule as well. So anyone that works with us, you really just need to remember 3 words.
yeah,
Okay? Contact me anytime.
I love it.
And so
Yeah,
it's more around ensuring, essentially people who use circles is adding data science to your team. So it's adding performance experts that can come in and support you. And so as you mentioned, you've had a conversation with Will before.
yeah,
We're here to help, and we truly care about your game. So if there's anything, there are questions. There are really, especially in the initial part, like getting your team accustomed to being able to track this and making it really easy for them to help you.
yeah,
It just accelerates everything.
yeah.
It really, really does.
No, I think it's really cool, and there's nothing that we're doing here that people who are watching the show can't do themselves. They can sign up for circles. They can go and see a physio. They can put all this together, you know, and it's just incredible to know it's out there. And I'm already thinking slightly differently now without having done the practice sessions, just from actually writing a score down every time, a bit more seriously now. And now the team's on board, and I'm going to do episodes over the coming weeks with each one of those in their area. And we'll start pulling all this together. I'm super excited about this.
Where it gets really fun, right? So if you do, like, so for example, your viewers are jumping on and they decide that they're going to log in 5 rounds, because again, the 5 rounds are free. So so first of all, does somebody want to get better? And if they do, we need to understand, or in our view, it's best for them to understand what is their performance level, where are they at? Because then from there, how someone bridges the gap is, everyone's so unique. But before someone maybe starts going and spending time on physio or lessons or mental performance, whatever it might be, what we're able to do is go, look, is there a gap? Where are those gaps? So let's pretend it was putting.
Yeah.
Right. So there's a gap in putting. Well, what levers may the player need to pull or want to pull? Is there a putter fitting session? Is it the green reading process? Is it putting mechanics? Is it you don't practice that area? So, but again, it allows those conversations to have. So before effort and time and money is applied to a specific thing, now you get the information, get the 5 rounds in first. It's the first thing. So it's the decision-making tool and the process that someone can take to then make sure they're investing money and time in the right areas. And then from there, also making sure that if they do make a decision, are they getting better over time?
Yeah.
So are they getting a return on their investment? Because it's essentially everyone's busy and money, right? So we want to make sure it's being invested in the appropriate areas.
I'm so grateful that you guys are letting me work with you for this. It's going to be really looking forward to this series.
It's our pleasure. It's our privilege to work with you, mate. Well, let's get you down to 4, and then let's then work on scratch. So I'm pumped. I'm so excited for you. So there's some low hanging fruit here, mate, and we're here for you. Again, one rule, mate. Contact me anytime.
Thank you, Craig. You're a gentleman.
You're a ledge.
Wow, how cool is that? It just blows my mind, the level of detail and insight you're getting into your game immediately. When you're out on the course, you can print off a sheet from the Circles website that's got each hole on it. You just record where you're playing your shot from, so the tee, the fairway, the rough, the sand, wherever, and how far you are from the pin for every shot. Then when you get home, you put that into your PC. It takes 3 or 4 minutes. It's pretty simple once you get into the hang of it, and that's it, you're done. Circles then goes off and works its magic. I'm really delighted and lucky to be working with Craig and his team on my Half My Handicap challenge, so make sure you look out for those episodes every 2 to 3 weeks. The golf show is 100% independent. We're not endorsed or paid by anybody. I reached out to the guys at Circles when I heard about their product and thought that could really help me on my challenge. As Craig said, anybody can use Circles. You get 5 goes for free. So you put your first 5 scores in, you get the data. It's up to you then whether you want to carry on with it or not. If you do, they've got various pricing plans to suit all budgets. So I'm really excited about this, guys, as you can tell. Hope you enjoyed that. I know it's a little bit longer, the episode, but I really think that it was worth keeping that amount of detail in it. So that's all from me, and I'll see you next time on The Golf Show. I hope you enjoyed that episode of The Golf Show. To watch another, click here. To subscribe, click here.